Hello everyone, Venus here.
And this is the Loose Noose Moose Goose.
And this is I Don't Know podcast because we don't know a lot of stuff but like to talk about them. And today's
Indeed.
topic is
Free LC Lords throughout the Total War Warhammer series, and there's a lot to talk about.
yeah, we'll be talking about three lords that were added in Warhammer 1 and Warhammer 2. But before we start, Luz, how was your week? Because 1 week just passed since we released our first podcast.
My week's been okay. There's a lot of changes going on in life right now, so that's exciting and scary because I'm a beast of comfort and routine. But other than that, it's pretty okay. I am very happy with how the first podcast has turned out, though. Real excited about that.
I was very surprised that anyone wanted to listen us. And the thing that I was most excited about and impressed right now is that we don't have any downvotes on our podcast on YouTube. Any. Zero
That's
downvotes. It's 100% upvote.
That is very surprising. Let's hope that trend continues. Fingers crossed. Toast
To
too.
train continue, we should just stop recording podcasts, I think.
Yeah, fair. We know how the internet works.
Yeah, we all know that. But as you're saying, you had a busy week, and I also had busy week because my son just finished 3 years. Right now, he's 3 years old, and in the moment of this recording, on the 8th of July, because we are recording on Thursday, it's my birthday, my 31st birthday.
Oh, congratulations. Happy birthday to you, sir.
Thank you. I don't celebrate my birthday, but thank you.
Well, okay.
But getting to more interesting things, yesterday we as a SFO mod team finished Lizardman rework for this update. So we are now waiting only for some text and icons. And when the DLC release, we'll be focusing fully on the DLC, and the content update from us is ready right now.
I have been playing the beta, and I have been loving it. Nakai is so fun right now.
I'm having most fun with Nakai right now and Krogar, I think, because the changes to Krogar. We can spoil a little. Krogar is getting Lightning Strike for all his Lord as a campaign effect.
Mm-hmm.
He don't
Mm-hmm.
need to get those skills anymore.
And Nakai, the defenders are really great. The temple dedications are really great, and the new technologies. Oh boy, those are really great. Can I go ahead and spoil like the big one? Can I?
No,
Fine.
this is not the podcast for this.
All
We'll be
right, all
talking
right.
about SFO changes after the release of DLC when the update will be more closely. But okay, and for of introductions, let's get to the topic.
Yeah,
So, free legendary lords. This is a thing that we have since Warhammer 1 and was released quite fast, really, with
it
Warhammer
really
1.
is.
There was a first. Who was the first, Moose?
Vlad von Karstein. Oh, Daddy Vladdy
Yes.
was the man in charge.
Yes, and let me check when he was released. That was released on September 9th of 2016.
Yes.
Commercial break here.
Sorry about that. I had like the smallest emergency pop up on the right.
No problem. It was a commercial break.
Okay.
So I need to entertain you for a minute because Luz is off right now. The first update was Vlad von Karstein. To this day, my favorite legendary lord for the vampire counts.
That is, yeah. Well, I mean, I love. I will say that when I want to play to win, I will play with Vlad. Vlad is a monster, and he can't die, and he's like the Vanguard. Everything is ridiculous.
Yeah, but what was you said just said it? But what was the thing that Vlad was adding to the game?
Thing that Vlad added to the game. He added a alternate starting location for if you wanted to play vampires is one big thing.
Yeah,
I think that was the first one of those.
Yeah, and it was for the first time co-op was possible with the same faction.
Oh, that is a good point to bring up. Yeah, I mean, man, Vlad, thank you. You paved the way for so many good things.
Also, that added Vanguard deployment for whole army. And at the
Hmm.
time of the release, people were uber hyped because it was the most unique campaign effect, like for everyone. Like literally no alert at the time was having such unique effect. Right now, you will say that it's a very silly effect, easy to do, and many lords have. But at the time, that was very unique.
It's so good. Like it's not fancy anymore. It's not like the new hotness, but it's still just so good. Just starting off with that,
Yeah.
Vlad's a bulldozer.
And when that was released, people were asking, "Where's Isabella?" Like everyone was asking, "Where's Isabella?"
Later on, later on.
But yeah, she will be released later on. Anything more to add about that?
Um, he is getting a he's getting some special love from the upcoming FLC that makes him more Empire friendly. So I can't wait to see how that changes his overall campaign as well. But other
Oh,
than that,
you're talking about unique skills. We will get to the unique skills also because this is a topic that links with those all roles
yeah,
really. But Vlad also had a thing. Oh, on campaign selection screen, all vanilla lords in Warhammer 1 had the same theme to them. So there was a slow camera going through them and showing the whole character. Blood, as the first one, had entire different style of it. He's sitting on a pile of dead bodies.
and just constantly stabbing and looking at his sword and
And it was entirely different style also.
and I
Much
like
better.
it.
Yeah, I think everyone loves it.
Hmm.
Okay, I think it will be all. Vlad didn't have a lot of stuff, but at the time of the release, he was great content. I think
Oh yeah, absolutely.
everyone loved him. Another one was a surprise. It was Urzak.
Yeah, he was the next one.
Urzak was released with the DLC, The King and the Warlord. So October 12th, 20th. Sorry.
Mhm.
And what was special thing with Urzak?
Well, for one thing, he got the same thing that Vlad had going on, where he was a lord of a race that got to start somewhere else entirely different and do the same thing as like co-oping with the same race, which you normally couldn't do in the first game. Also, on a personal level, I was just really, really happy to have Warsack because that little dancing maniac is one of my favorite orcs.
Yeah, Wurzak had a unique animation. Vlad didn't have his unique animation. He was just a vampire lord. But
Yeah.
Wurzak had unique animation. He was dancing, and at the time, I remember that he had a global recruitment for all the savage orcs. Also, this is a thing that everyone have right now, but at the time, it was quite unique,
Mm-hmm.
and no
Really
one was
good.
complaining because he was on the same level as all other legendary lords in the game right now.
Yeah, yeah, I would argue that as well. He also led to a bunch of memes on the workshops for like having entire armies of dancing orcs. That was fun.
Yeah, yeah. There were first mods that were doing it. Also, with Wurzak, we had the first bunch of game breaking bugs, really, because if you were not playing Wurzak and you confederated him, all his units had 100 percentage upkeep increase. And it wasn't fixed until Warhammer 2 by CA,
Oof.
of course, because by the community it was fixed ASAP.
Yeah, well, love the modding community.
Not more to talk about Wurzak, really, I see, because looking at my
Not
notes,
really.
he doesn't have anything more. He didn't have any unique skills or abilities. Okay, he had Foot of Gork, the free spell, so the bound spell. But besides that, he didn't have anything. Oh,
Yeah.
getting back to that, that was the first also character that had XP per turn for all units faction wide effect, the effect that was only on champions back then. So it was also quite unique for him back then.
Mm-hmm. It's still pretty good too.
Yeah, and we are getting to December 8th, so release of the Wood Elves DLC and Morgur the Shadow Gave was released.
Morgor the Shadow gave best beast man. I love myself some Morgor. I don't care about your power levels. He is the best one.
Okay, but there was one slight problem.
Well,
Morgur was introducing nothing.
no, not really. He just had chaos spawn that no one used.
And three harpies units, but besides that, he
Well,
was literally giving nothing to the game.
no, he didn't have anything fancy. I mean, well, hold on. Was he the first character to add the ability to transform one unit into another unit?
No, it was Malus in Warhammer 2. Oh,
No,
you're
no, no.
talking.
Yeah,
No,
no, I'm talking.
okay, okay. But the thing that you are talking about, that when unit died, something different pops up,
Yeah,
was nothing new. In terms of tables and mechanically, I think it was the thing that was possible to do before. But yeah, his ability was quite unique in that terms because when units were dying around him, I think in Warhammer 2 you had to manually click it.
think so.
Units were dying. It was very frustrating to be sure that unit is below 25% health or something like that. But right now it's automatically and chaos spawn in the place of that unit.
Uh, oh
Why are you
boy.
laughing?
It just the spawn pun
Spawn
joke thing
spawn.
got me. So that's three free legendary lords in 1 year.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
And we are getting to next year, so 2017, and it's January 19th. Grombrindal is released, but Grombrindal was released back with Wurzak for those that had White Dwarf magazine.
Hmm.
But as in Poland, because I'm from Poland, we don't have a White Dwarf magazine, and we have only one official Games Workshop shop.
Dang.
We didn't. I was not able to get him in any way. So Gromidal was released for everyone on January 19th, so several months after his initial release if you had the magazine. And what was with Gromidal? Because he had something unique as a first legendary lord.
Let's see, in Warhammer 1, I think it's mostly the same in 2, if I remember correctly. Every 25 turns, he had to make a decision for the entire faction. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes,
Yeah, and I think that paved the way for a lot of great ideas later on as well.
yes. So Gromidal was the first legendary lord really in the game that had unique mechanic to him.
Hmm.
Free legendary lord, let's say, because at the same time the king and the warlord were released and we had unique mechanics there of taking Karakate picks, but this is not the
Yeah,
topic that we'll be talking about. We're talking about the free stuff. So
yeah, the
Grumbedal
free stuff.
had some ancestral stuff that if you wait 25 turns, as you were saying, I don't remember properly if that's the number, but if you could get a skill that makes those choices pop up more early. You were getting four choices about his
Mm.
faction. They were nothing groundbreaking, but the cool thing with Grumberdal was that he most of his skills on his skill tree were faction wide. So he was a good buffing unit for your whole faction.
Hmm. Still is.
Yeah, and he also. Oh, and people were asking at the time why he's not a hero, because people did not like that he is a lord and not a hero.
I'm going to be honest. I fall into that camp. I don't know. Make what you want of it.
I think he should be a hero.
Well,
Something
I'm
more
glad we're on
like
the
a
same
Green
page.
Knight.
Like, I know they probably won't because they're never going to walk back on making a lord into a hero. I think that makes too many people upset. But with the introduction of like Lord Croak and Gorich, stuff like that later on, I feel like the legendary hero spot is begging for certain characters. Oh,
Yeah, but
Grumbrill's one of them.
the Green Knight is still begging for help.
Yeah. Speaking of,
Yeah, we are getting now to February 28th, and it's Bretonia update. We received the full faction with three legendary lords. and it was a blast, really. And also, that was the time when I started officially modding SFO.
Ah, good memories. I think that's actually when I first bought the game as well, as whenever Bretonia just came out.
I took the game in the first week because I wanted chaos. Chaos is my favorite faction in Warhammer Fantasy. I'm not going to talk about my disappointment when I played
Yeah,
them
no.
first time, but yeah,
Yeah.
we went to Bretonia. And what was unique with each legendary lord of Bretonia? Who were they?
It was Leon Kerr, the
No, no,
oh
no.
god.
You need to say Leon Coeur.
Leon Kerr. The Lion of Bretonia. There we
Lion of
go.
Bretonia. HN is French in our modding team. I hope he won't be mad for our very bad French.
He'll get me up, I'm sure. It'll be fun. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Fine. We also had Albric de Bordelot, which I'm definitely not saying that correctly, and the Fey Enchantress, who,
Yeah.
like, holy crap, an entire faction that people have been clamoring for free. I'm still blown away by that. Now that I'm looking back at it right now, it's reinforced. Like, holy crap. Like, not just another lord that's really great, but a whole faction with three lords for free. It blows my mind still.
Yes, Bretonia were promised on the release of the game that they will be full free faction in the future. On the release, there were a placeholder with only few units, and were like a copy paste of the Empire with just different units.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time of release, Bretonia was the best faction in the game for me.
So good.
Yeah, they were fleshed out, and they didn't aged poorly to this day. Even I would say they were
No.
very very good faction.
They also did something else that's really big. Every single one of them had a unique starting location across all of
Yes,
Bretonia, which is
yes,
huge.
that was also a unique thing that was not very common in a game. As we were saying, only few one like Wurzak, Grombridal had the same starting for location for all the dwarves, by the way. So
Yeah.
people were a little pissed about that he didn't receive own faction.
Bring Grom Brendel to Nagaron. That is all.
We talk about it on the previous one. Gromedal should be able to teleport, because it's in his team. He's not he's a spirit for dwarves. Yeah, he's
Mm-hmm.
not like a
Yeah.
person. He's like an ancestor god, like a minor god right now in terms of lore. But let's get back to Bretonia. Release of the Bretonia had very cool, unique mechanics, but in terms of legendary lords that we are talking about today, only Fey
Mm-hmm.
Enchantress had something unique. And this unique thing was that her Grey Guardian were not required to have Grail Vow to have lowered upkeep, because Bretonia thing was that all high tier units, knights required specific skills to have normal upkeep. Funny thing is that back then CA made those upkeep working with very complicated script when it was possible with a very 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 simple effect right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But still, for the time, as you said, really big, really important, really impactful. I feel like a lot of free LC ended up shaping how the game is moving forward in the future.
Yeah, when I'm looking on the list right now, I'm getting the picture that you're saying
Mm-hmm.
about. We are not looking at those things normally when they are released one by one. It's like with having a child, and everyone said that it grow up, and you don't see it because you see it every day.
Yeah.
It's not growing for me. He's the same like my son. Uh, but as for Bretonia, I don't think we have anything unique with them or in each legendary lord.
Uh, I think we already covered all the big points. There was another big part of the Bretonia upgrade on the other side of the Grey Mountains, way over in Sylvania, though.
Yeah, we had a release of Isabella von Karstein, legendary lord, and she was done with a faction of Vlad, and also had her unique mechanic. What was the mechanic?
I believe her big thing was the more vampire heroes in her army, the stronger they all became.
No,
Hold on, hold on.
no,
Her
no.
and Vlad working together, the lords would boost each other on the battlefield.
Yes, this is the thing that they had, that when they were reinforcing themselves, because both of them were lords, when
Hmm.
they were reinforcing themselves, they were receiving melee attack and defense plus 50 bonus, something like that. Besides that, Isabella and Vlad didn't have any unique stuff. Still a very cool addition. And Isabella was released on February 28th, so same with Bertolia.
I believe a little fun fact about that. The reason she was added to the game was because she won a Steam contest about Valentine's Day and true love or something like that.
Yeah, there was Valentine's or Skulls, something like that. Content. I don't remember really.
Something to that effect, anyway.
Yeah, but they added her. To this day, she received nothing.
Poor Isabella. Everyone just picks Vlad.
Yeah, she didn't receive anything. She have a unique building chain, something like that, that lets her do vampires faster. But again, nothing really that unique. But
Nah.
we are talking about those lords in terms of how they were looking when they were released, and on the release she was great.
Yes, yes, yes,
There
yes.
was a lot of content, as people were still playing Karl Franz at the time. Only Karl Franz, only Karl Franz.
Oh,
And
one last thing about her is to this day, people love hunting down and fighting Isabella because her legendary lord uh, defeat trait was, I believe, regeneration, and that is
yes,
a bonkers thing to get.
so best thing that Isabella gave us is dying.
Yeah, poor girl. Poor Isabella von
And
Karstein.
her Mimi quotes like "swiftly, fast, swiftly."
I love her. I do.
Yeah, Vlad and Isabella are like my favorite three lords in Warhammer 1. The
Mhm.
favorite one are Belagar and Skarsnik. So, and Isabella ends Warhammer 1 cycle,
Yep.
really. And we are getting to Warhammer 2. And let me check the first legendary lord that was free in Warhammer 2.
Was
Oh, okay, it's
Tretch Craventail.
yes, it's January 24th of 2080, and oh, a lot to talk about it. Was Strange a good free legendary lord? News.
Was I don't know, man. He definitely incentivized. I don't know. He incentivized a different and weird play style, which I can appreciate. But at the same time, I don't know. I never played him. I just played Queek. He was just another Scaven chieftain with a weird gimmick about running away. That's what he was to me.
Yeah, played Strange only once. Okay, two times, like several months ago when I was reworking Skaven. But besides that, for past
Yeah,
3 years, I didn't play him ever. His unique mechanic is that when he break diplomatic treaties, he's getting faction like public order bonus, and when he retreats from battle, he can get back to those battles or be hunted in those battles. He gets melee attack bonuses, and besides that, he received nothing at the time of the release. Later, he was changed. Yeah,
yeah.
so from all of those that we were talking about, legendary lords, only Trench right now received any changes in Warhammer as a game.
At this point,
Yeah, he received upgraded Scurry away, and again, nothing really big.
yeah, more of the same.
And Underway, Under Empire in his place that he should start. Don't remember the place that his clan is starting, but besides that, he received nothing. And we are moving to May right now from January, and it's May the 31st, and it's Alithanar, so Shadow King.
I love Alithanar. I don't know if I'm in love with how he's represented in the game because I prefer his ghostly white hair, scary as fuck spirit aesthetic and the older art for him. but I love a Lithanar. I really, really do.
Yeah, I have to agree. Olifanar on release was really fleshed out. He
Mhm.
had a new right. He that was spawning an assassin that was able to kill anyone. He had one new unit, Shadow Walkers. He had a new campaign movement, so he was able to tunnel himself using the tunnel stance that dwarves and beastmen had at the time.
Mhm.
Also, I think Woodles probably also, and had the new campaign mechanic that he can hunt specific characters to get bonuses faction wide. And I think it will be yes, it's all for Alifanar. He didn't receive any changes to this day, but he's still defending himself. I think.
Yeah, he's still really good. I was actually playing before my stream earlier. I was just playing a Lithanar to have fun. He is a great character.
What is even worse, at the time of release, Alifanar, so it was the release of the DLC with the Alariel and the Crown.
Hmm.
Don't remember the name of the DLC. It
Uh,
was the Queen of the Crown. Oh,
Queen of the Crown.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Alifanar was a free DLC back then, and he was way better than both of those lords.
Yeah.
And Alifanar starts the trend that goes to this day. That sometimes legendary lords, the free legendary lords, are way better than the paid content.
And it's so we have more to talk about on that later. I'll touch
Yeah,
more on that
yeah,
later.
yeah. So moving. We have a release of the Vampire Coast DLC, and it's November the 8th on 2018. And with the vampires, the biggest Dark Elf pirate was released. So Lokir Felhart.
Lokir Fellheart. Poor Lokir Fellheart. Oh, the poor guy. I just feel so bad. He still doesn't have like a special black arc thing, does he?
Yeah, he doesn't have a black arc. Only thing that he received on the release was his unique right. And this will be a trend since Alphanar, all legendaries are getting their unique rights. But he also received a way of spawning black arcs from major ports. So each major province port was giving him a black arc. He didn't need a right to him. Back in the day, it was more a penalty than a bonus for
Yeah.
him because black arcs at the time were okay. I would need to censorship because okay, black arcs were bad, were very bad at
Yeah,
the
they
time.
were.
Nothing good to talk about black arcs and Lockyer. The other thing that Lockyer had good, he was a part of a narrative of Vampire Coast. He was a final boss in the narrative.
Which is pretty cool. I
Yeah,
really enjoyed that part of it.
I
I
like it,
just
and it was never done again in the game.
I I do actually like that part because then it could have gotten oversaturated. They've been and other faction leaders have been in quest battles, but never been like the main bad guy, and I think that's fine. I would prefer it to be that way.
You can say that Morgur was the main guy, bad guy in Woodall's DLC, but was not that big part as Loki had. Loki had cinematic with him even.
Yeah, there's like there was narrative behind it, and it was pretty good for being a game about just let's be honest, primarily fighting units together in the field. They did a good job. I like that.
Yeah, I also liked it. So we're moving to another year. So it's April 17th of 2019, and we have a Doomsayer DLC. So DLC with Ikit and Henawin. I don't remember them. The Warlock and the Prophet probably. With the
Yes.
it was the Predator trailer, one of the best trailers still.
Hmm.
And we had a free lord.
I don't think anyone saw this guy coming either.
Yeah, I just let you talk about him because it is the only lord that I didn't play to this day. Even that I recently worked on Lizardman, I I made the changes and said to the balance team that you need to test him because I'm not touching him. Really, I hate the guy. I don't generally I don't have any love to this guy, and Moose, please tell us who is this mysterious flying guy that Lizardman received as a first free legendary lord for them?
Let me see if I can properly enunciate this. Tic tac toe was a flying lizardman skink character. I believe it's still the only character that starts the game flying, and starts. I have no idea why he was chosen. Starts on Zwup, and he has really weird faction effects, and I would say probably still one of the most busted rights in the entire game. Oh my god. He has a right that allows you to reset your movement. That does allow you to make more attacks. So, get everything in position, you hit your right, and then you can take several cities in the same turn and just like bulldoze over stuff or just cross the entire map. It's so crazy. Love it.
His right was cool. I agree. It's good to this thing that resets all the movement for this.
Mhm.
So you should make all the movements with your characters. Use this right, and you can move again. One of the best rights in the game right now, I think.
Oh
The
yeah, for
other
sure.
thing, he had more bombs, new bombs for all flying pterodons, so unit for the lizardmen, and what was very divisive for the community. He had focus on pterodons and reproductors, but reproductors were a part of the DLC.
Yep.
When you didn't have the DLC, you didn't have like half of tic tac toe content.
Which I'm gonna be real with you. Not a fan of that type of marketing.
Yeah, that was very bad. At the
Mhm.
time, there were much more interesting characters for the Lizardmen that could be released here. People were expecting Gorok back then, but we received Tic Tac Toe. And uh, there's nothing more to talk about this guy, really.
Although that is a wonderful segue into the next official legendary free lord.
Yes, because next legendary free lord were Gorok. So, Rock of Lizardman, the guy that is starring in Fast and the Furious movies right now. I didn't saw any beside the first three ones. So, but yeah, Gorok was released, and he was part of Lord Croc, because Lord Croc was also released with Tic Tac Toe. We are not talking about him because he was a legendary hero.
Yeah.
But the unique thing with Gorok was that he had unique right, of course, but he also received like a end game reward ASAP when you're
Yeah.
starting as Gorok.
I was like, holy crap. I was whenever I first read that, I had to go over it multiple times to make sure I was reading it correctly because that just starting the game with a free character again with the I win button for the lizard men.
Yeah, that was really crazy to get him like ASAP, and also he was released on September 11th.
Mm.
Anything more to talk about Gork?
I mean, God, it feels like whenever you talk about Gorok, you just bring up how starting with Croak is so ridiculous.
Yeah, it is
Other
ridiculous.
than
Also,
that,
uh, he was a semi part of Marcus Wolfhard DLC because he was also spawning when the bad meteor that Wolfhard have. I don't remember. It's hostility, something like that. If when it's
yeah,
maxed out, the Gorok and other Lizardman legendary lords were spawning. So yeah, he was part of a narrative.
still not on the low gears level though.
Yeah. Also, in September, we are getting Legendary Lord and Legendary Hero. Also, again in White Dwarf magazine. And who are those?
Go Trek and Felix, voiced by Brian Blast. Oh my god, I love that guy. Ugh. Real quick, Grotech and Felix is one of my favorite implementations and representations of characters in the lore in the entire game for the way that they are handled. I love that.
Why? Why you like them so much?
Oh, because okay, so it would have been really easy to stick them in the Empire or whatever else, but instead they have this unique thing to where they can be hired on as mercenaries for a set number of terms until Gotrek and Felix decide, or mostly Gotrek, I guess, decide, enough of this, and they go off doing whatever. But the fun part is they are persistent in the world, and you might run into them later on, and they'll still have like the levels and stuff you gave them. And I think that is beautiful. I love that. I want to play with Grochek and Felix right now.
Yeah, I agree. People are asking for this day if they will getting more stuff like character skills because they don't have
Oh yeah.
any campaign skills. But I think it's really good thematic thing for them. Like as you said, they just came and they just go away. It
Man.
feels like their journey needs to take them somewhere else. You know.
I feel like stuff like that in the Warhammer games, if there's more of that coming down the pipeline anywhere, it makes it feel like the world is more alive and things happen independently of you off screen. I love that stuff. I hope there's more
Yeah,
of
I
it.
like that when the player is not in the middle of everything.
Yeah,
When
exactly.
things happens, people usually say that they don't like when they go to a faction and let's say Malekith was killed already, etc. Because I love it. I love it when game have own life.
Yes,
And
exactly.
it's like not legendary lords are not waiting for you to kill them.
I don't want it to be just my story about all the cool stuff I do. I want this dynamic thing where I show up to Nagaron and fucking Alithanar is there and he has colonized everything and just like, holy shit.
Yeah, situation like this makes you feel that like it's a player. Yeah, like
Yeah.
Alefanar was a different player and he just won on his campaign, and you now face him.
And that feels really cool. Man, I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah. Okay, we need to move to another one.
All right.
So another legendary lord. It's December 12th on 2019. It's a potion of speeds update. So released with Shadow and the Blade. Malus and Snitch. And the legendary lord is Réponse de Leonis, the most screamy girl I know in all Warhammer 2.
She's got so much power inside her. How can you not love her? How can you not love a powerful woman like that?
She
By the
have the
way,
power, but he received none of the unique mechanics, sadly.
no, she did a legend. She did get a unique hero, but other than that, I mean, oh, a unique hero, and she was a Bretonian, not in Bretonia, so that's fun.
Yeah, but we won't call it a mechanics. And
No, no.
Henry the Mastiff had, what, four unique skills? Besides that, he was just a normal paladin.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to go to bat for her because I like her so much. Also, shout out again. I can never be love them enough for the Potion of Speed update. Oh my god, to this day, I still
Yeah,
have nightmares. Oh,
this is the thing that we can also talk with in another podcast because we would not have time for it.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So I think that were added mechanically to the game. Yeah, like potion of speed, increased turn times. What that was incredible. This is the thing that was added mechanically. So we
Hmm.
can talk about it later. So not too much, not more to talk about Repans really. Shell
Not
had
really.
a different confederation mechanic. Normally, Bretonians had to make the confederal technologies,
Hmm.
but she had missions for it and dilemmas. Okay, nothing really outstanding, but uh, we had better lords at the time. Really, we had better lords at the time. Uh,
Speaking of better lord, the next free LC lord was amazing.
yeah,
Oh my god, my boy Emric, the Dragon Prince of Calador.
yes, Imric Daenerys, Targaryen, one of the best legendary lords, really.
Yeah, honestly, he's still rock solid.
And he was released with the Warden and the Punch DLC on the May of 21st of 2020. So when pandemic was raging the world, but what's very important at the time, he was released with very good legendary lords. So Elfarion and the Grom, and he for the first time legendary lord was on par with the DLC one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Grom's still crazy.
Yeah, what's
Oh.
Imric mechanics? Because he
Emric
had mechanics.
unique to him, like not even like the faction, just him. It's great. So Emric's thing is that he is trying to commune and awaken the dragons again, and I think there are 5 unique dragons in his campaign that you have to either like give tribute to or fight to have them work underneath you, and that is so fucking cool.
Yeah, Imric had unique events that when they pop up, you can go to the place and decide to bribe a dragon, get some unique effects, or fight the dragon. And if you win with the dragon, he will join you. With not only dragon was unique, but Imric was also getting unique trait.
Hmm.
Like everything was working. Imric was also having different confederation missions to get everyone from Ulfan and other high elves confederated with him. He was damn good legendary lord at the time.
I still love to play as Emmerich. His starting location is pure pain, but I love Emmerich himself.
Yeah, Imric also showed that high elves are not working outside of Ulfan, really.
Yeah, yeah.
He still needs some changes to how his income is going because right now high elves in Vanilla needs ports and trade, and Imric's not having any of those things in his starting location because he's starting in Southland.
Poor boy. I never see him expand anywhere. Maybe one day.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I think it's all for the Imric. Also, Imric have he had unique animation that was very cool because he was able to grab his horn and blow his horn,
Yeah.
screaming Dracarys and killing everyone around.
God, I want to play Emmerich now. I'm on like a high elf kick right now.
High of kick. Okay, we're moving to December 3rd of December 2020, and it's Legendary Lord that was very confusing how to get. I still don't understand how to get this Legendary Lord. What you need to have, what DLC, and what
Okay,
DLC you don't need.
you needed such a pain in the ass. You had to own the original Wood Elf Legendary Pack in the first game and in the second game in order to have access to her. I do believe.
Yeah, and second game also, and the first
Yeah.
game. So you need everything.
And in exchange, you get a very, very angry pile of sticks with like
Yeah.
wolves and stuff.
Draicha. So another lord going with a trend of having unique stuff after Imrek,
Hmm.
and Draicha is she received unique mechanics for the Wood Elves. She probably is the most unique legendary lord for all the Wood Elves right now.
I would say so. Yeah. That. Yeah. 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 But poor sisters. We'll get them another time.
Yeah,
But she had her legendary friend with her. She had the indoctrination thing. Uh, she has the animals in the wild, and I feel like I'm missing out something pretty important.
Coedil.
And that's our legendary guy, right? Her special
Yeah,
friend.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So she had Coedil, a very cool quest mission to get him. He was a legendary hero.
Mhm.
Sadly, without a unique model, he's just burning. She also had forest reinforcements. I don't remember the name properly, but it's working like Rise of the Dead. So she was able to just get specific new units, also like spiders, wolves, manticores, units that we saw in previous DLCs and iteration, but they were unique to her.
Mhm.
And she was getting different technologies, different buildings. She was feeling like entire different faction.
Plus, she just wasn't in Athol Lauren, and that was nice.
Yeah, she was not starting in Lauren, and she really felt like a different faction. Yeah,
She really did. It felt like you had different priorities, and that always felt like I was doing the same thing with the other legendary Wood Elves.
yeah, and I love playing her to this day. She's one of my favorite Woodell's Legendary Lord because you can feel her anger.
There's so much rage.
Yeah,
We have another one as well. The one that just came out in March 18th of this year, I think.
yeah, yeah, and it's a surprise Lord that's also with the sausage.
And also had his own unique campaign mechanic as well. I believe it was called the Monster Pins. I haven't played a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah.
him yet.
Who is it? Who is it?
Oh, that would be Beastmaster Rakarth for the Drukari, the Dvark Elves.
Yeah, that also make community very decisive because split the community because he's not looking like he's looking the lore right now.
Which is weird. They did that with the Lithanaris and like other lords, so I yeah, it doesn't bother me that much since there's a precedent for it now.
Yeah. And unique mechanic that Rakard had was using the idea from Draicha. So again, things from other lords are used for the other lords, but in a good way. He was able to recruit all around their own world unique monsters from other factions,
Mhm.
but you need to make specific missions to unlock capacity for those monsters. And besides that, it was really all for Rakard. He was very surprise
Yeah,
mechanic
I
for
never
everyone.
expected to see him. I never expected to see any more characters like Dark Elves coming out. I suppose it rounds it out to the sixth. That may seem to be the magic number in Warhammer 2.
Yes,
I didn't
and
expect him.
we are getting the last legendary, well, probably last because this is the last DLC for the Warhammer 2, and it's Torek Ironbrow that will be released on July 14. None of us have early access, so all information that we have about Torek is from videos and Reddit posts that people are doing about him really
Hmm.
right now.
Hmm.
Okay, Moose, what about Torek? Is he unique or not unique right now?
He is absolutely unique. Like, oh man. As far as legendary, like free legendary lords, I would say he is up there. I'll put him up there with Bretonia, with its three different legendary lords and all that sort of stuff. He is in Lustria. He has this amazingly fun forging mechanic to where you can do things like get unique spectral heroes, which are normally like a Belagar thing before. He can yoke a Carnosaur, so another like cross faction unit on the main roster for him. Um, he has all these special things about ruins themselves. He's I just there's so much I can say. I can't really put any definitive like how good is Thorek and how much he changed the game because he's also dropping as part of the big dwarf update that we're getting. So comparing to them after the fact, after they say how we all do with all of their like the ruin stuff and all that, it's going to be a big deal. But just out of what I've seen from him, I think I saw something in him about having extra explosive artillery and some other crazy stuff, and his hammer does something else that's really incredible. I just he's going to be a big dwarven lord. I think he's going to be one of the best.
Yeah, right now, Turkey is looking as most unique legendary lord for all the dwarves, really. My love is still with Belgar because he's my favorite character. Right after Archeon, in terms of lore, yeah, I know. Archeon is not the best, but I really like him. But we really talked about Torek in the last podcast. He's getting unique crafting mechanic, as Luz said, and not really much more to talk about him because we didn't play him and I didn't watch a lot of DLC content on YouTube because I don't like to watch those. I always try to just play by myself when the DLC release and make my own opinion
I do the
about
same
stuff
thing.
and discover it. This is the thing that we will be talking also in the future of not watching stuff before release because it can really ruin your experience sometimes.
Yeah, I agree.
And Luz, do we have any more legendary lords to talk about? I don't think
No
so.
more free legendary lords to talk about. No.
Okay, so before we get to the last part of this podcast, who you think was the best free legendary lord and who you think was the worst?
Oh my god, that is such a hard
Let's
question.
let's get out Torek out this because he's not released.
Yeah, we can't throw Torek in there yet. God, my heart belongs to Morgar, but if we're going to talk about what they added to the game, I think I'm going to have to go with. Oh, it's hard. The Bretonia faction, where they added in this entire faction, and all three of the legendary lords had different locations. They populated a side of the map. They had the knightly vows and all that. The Green Knight needs help, but it's cool, and I think it set a precedent for a lot of design decisions that I've fallen in love with throughout the
Okay, but
game.
we should talk about legendary lords themselves, their mechanics, not the faction, because Bretonia was a free update, not per se on legendary lord.
Yeah, I got a point. Okay, so if we're going by one-on-one, like the lords themselves, and the best, I'll go with Gotrek. I'll go with Gotrek then, because he still has something that is very unique to himself, and I hope they do something else with that type of mechanic in the future. I really do. I love
Okay,
Gotrek.
Then who was the worst and why tic tac toe?
The worst one, I don't know. That's yeah. I I know what the probably correct answer is, but I'm not going to say it. I'm going to say it was Tretch. I'm going to say Tretch was this like a lot of things about him. He didn't have the starting location that he probably really should have, but I don't think it existed on the map at that point. That's fine. So whatever. But nothing about him felt fun to play for me. I don't run from battles. I don't screw with diplomacy that much. I play. If I want to play a badass Skaven chieftain, it's Queek every time. I can't. I
Yeah.
don't care about Tretch.
Tretch and Tic Tac Toe are fighting for the last place. Really, really. But getting to
Tic-tac-toe
my
has that
ranking,
busted right.
yeah, yeah. But getting to my ranking, I think it is for the best in terms of quality, things that it added. I think it was Imrek because he really felt like paid DLC.
Mm, okay, I see where you're coming from. I guess the quality of the Lord and the faction itself, then yeah, Emmerich really far up there.
It's not the one that I maybe like the most, but in terms of what things he added and how much he had on himself,
Mm.
not counting the faction or the DLC, I think he had the most content and would be the best free legendary lord right now in the game, right now in both games. In terms of not mechanics, just love, I would say Vlad because I love Vlad, his history and lore, really.
Yeah, I God, Vlad's so good. The first free legendary Lord still holding up.
Yeah, he's still holding up, but is for the worst. Of course, it's tic tac toe. It's the most not needed, unnecessary, and boring legendary lord for me ever. Even Trench is a little bit above tic tac toe right now.
I just don't fucking care about Dredge. At least Tic Tac Cove can fly. So there's that.
Well, this is a point that I'm against because I don't like flying units in this game. I don't think they are working really.
I can get behind that. I think with like the stuff coming in Game Three and the amount of flying demons and such, it'll be reworked in a certain way.
I hope they will rework it because right now it should be more like the bloodthirsters are going to be in Warhammer 3, so they are always on land, and you just tell them to start flying, things like that. I
Yeah,
hope
just
it will
jump
work
up.
that way, but no, Tic Tac Toe is the last place with our ranking. Most 10 of 10 ogres for Tic Tac Toe.
Jeez, I will give a my last place to Tretch with a 9 out of 10 ogres, just because at least he does something a little different. At least he,
Because it was free.
and because it was free. Yeah.
Okay, and most important topic right now on the end. Luz, do you think that free legendary lords are better than the paid legendary lords?
Oh, some of them definitely. There have been some paid. Like, okay, so to be fair, I don't want to talk about the ones that came in the first game because the first game's mechanics did not age well. They've
No,
gotten
and
their game
legendary
together,
lords also.
but some of them, like again, going back to Emmerich, really great legendary lord. Um, I think some people are more excited about Thoric coming out than they are about the Brass Bull or Oxodal. And I mean, Grotek and Felix was amazing. It's I don't know. Gorok is a mixed bag because I mean, cool Gorok, but you're there for starting out with Croak, which is nuts.
But also Gorok was released with the Hunter and the Beast DLC when Nakai and Wolfheart had issues and have issues to this day, really.
Yeah, and like I don't know a lot of people that like even play Wolfheart and Nakai. Poor Nakai.
He's just poor Nakai, as you just said.
To me, the worst one's always going to be Lokir, though. Poor bastard.
Yeah, he just got a short end of the stick with the DLC.
No, he didn't. They showed him the stick and threw it in the water and said fetch. That's what they did to Loki. And they didn't
Yeah,
even
but
give him his damn boat.
he's a pirate without a boat. He's like Jack Sparrow in the first movie, when the movie is starting and he has this boat that is sinking. It's Lockyer.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh,
He's the
man.
worst pirate you ever met.
No boat, no hope, and stuck in Lustria Bowl.
Yeah, but you moved a very, very important thing that people are more excited for Torek than Oxyotal and Taurus right now. And from the things I saw, so the trailers and those things that are posted on CA YouTube, as I was
Mhm.
saying, I'm not reading all those documents because I want to be surprised a little bit at least.
Yes.
And a lot of people posting the cheese stuff that Legend just fleshed out. He's very good at things like that, like showing game balance. But I have to agree, I'm more excited for Torek than Taurox and Oxyotl right now.
Oh, not me. I am extraordinarily biased, though. Oh, the brass bowl. I cannot wait to get my hands on the
No,
Beastmen.
because you are a Beastman lover,
They're the
but
best.
we need to make a difference between getting a DLC, and a
Hmm.
free DLC with this. Because if you not buy the new DLC, the Silence and the Fury, but you had the previous DLC of the Beastman, you would get all the changes that also Torex would have.
Hmm.
It's
That's
not that the free content is linked to the DLC only. No, everyone's
yeah,
getting it.
yeah, yeah. That is an
So
independent thing.
we need to make a border here. Like very important for me border because people don't see it. Often say that, but you are getting those a lot of stuff with this free DLC. Yes, you are getting it, but you don't need to buy DLC.
Hmm.
You are
Oh,
still
it's
getting those stuff. Like the problem happened with Woodall's DLC. I think the last one that was with the fraud. The free content was way better than the DLC.
Drisha
The
is still so fun.
Draicha, I think, is the best Wood Elves Legendary Lord, and I would not recommend that DLC really to buy if you want to play Wood Elves. Buy
Yeah.
normal Wood Elves and buy Draicha. Don't buy the Sisters DLC. And in that comparison, Draicha was way better than the DLC,
Hmm.
the DLC lords. She was way more worth it. If I would pay, I would pay for the Draicha, not for those legendary lords.
Hmm. It just it was hyped up to be this whole thing with the crafting and the vol, and yeah, sad.
And I'm afraid that we will end the same with the Torek right now. I am very happy that they are putting a lot of effort in those three legendary lords, but
Hmm.
I would like to have more stuff in a DLC. Really,
It's very interesting because not only is Thorek dropping, there's a lot about him that is crazy. Like for instance, he is going to be, I think, the first race from game one to have free LC content that's going to be able to put him in the Vortex campaign in game two, which is a big deal to a lot of people.
Repans,
Was it
Repans.
Rapunzel?
Yeah,
Oh, she was
Repans
free.
is in
That's right.
Vortex. Yeah, but she didn't have any mechanic. But Torek really feels like a DLC for me, at
He
least.
really does with the like the foraging and all that other stuff. I put it on tier. I put it well, maybe not quite on par with Emmerich, but it's up there.
Yeah, and see, he also said that he will have a narrative, so a story,
Oh no, kidding!
like a DLC lord.
Wow,
So Torek will be first one that will have a story on his own.
that is there's just so much about him that is huge. Plus, he's dropping at the same time as the second dwarven overhaul they're doing.
Yeah, it's the second because dwarves were the first faction to get an overhaul, and now they are the last one in Warhammer 2.
Hmm. At least it's not more Skaven. Oh God, I'm about Skavened out for a long time.
Yeah. But getting to the topic, if the free legendary lords are better than the paid one, I think it's very hard to judge. looking only on the legendary lords. We should also look on the free content, the DLC, the state of the game at the time.
It's a
But
complex topic. We could talk about that just by itself for a while,
oh
I think.
yeah, for a long time. But we just wanted to make a ranking and just touch the surface of this topic. But overall, I'm excited for this DLC. I have to say,
I am too.
not hyped because hyped is a topic that we'll be talking later on.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, Hype is thing that we don't agree on, both of us right now.
yeah. I not to get in depth with it, but to give just like a little preview of my feelings on it. I don't know if you know if I want to do the same. I feel like it hurts more than it helps, especially what I've seen in the last 10 years for overhyped games.
Yeah, hype is problematic. This is a topic that we'll be talking when DLC drops, and
Yes.
will be a little bit more calm time for the Total War, so we can talk it freely. But the conclusion is of this podcast, I think this episode is that it's great that CA is adding free legendary rewards. This is
And
the
such
thing that
high quality ones.
yeah, because most of them, really 90% of them are really great. Even that
Yes.
we have trench or even have tic tac toe, some don't have mechanics, but they are still good. Some other are still good. We can play them, have fun, and they are getting so much love recently with those last three legendary lords, so Imrik, Draicha, and Torek, that in such a pace, I have a feeling that they would be better than paid content that we are getting in this game. I
I
hope
do.
not. I hope not, because I want to pay it for a very good content. But yeah, it's a hard. As you see, we have problem with this topic because there are so many things to talk about.
There's a whole lot. One thing I don't think we've touched on at all is I for me personally, the quality of the free LC content has shifted my opinion on creative assemblies as a whole because we can all remember with the scandal with Warriors of Chaos.
Oh
But
yeah.
now the free LC they give out that they could very easily charge $25 for another this and a that pack, it's so incredible and I have so much more appreciation for them now.
Okay,
Just on
but
that, at least that.
then you have this problem that free content is so good quality that there is sometimes no point of buying DLCs.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. But it's weird in favor of the consumer, I'd say. So I'm totally on board with it.
Yeah, yeah, this is also a topic for a longer talk,
Yeah,
really.
God.
Oh, I was not expecting we will have so much to talk about those legendary lords when I was writing this topic in my note.
There's a lot to say. Got a lot. We
Yeah. So, guys, this would be all for this episode, I think. Next week, we will be talking about this DLC. We'll be reviewing the DLC because next week the DLC launches. Be sure to buy it on Steam right now. So,
hmm
the Silence and the Fury DLC, the last DLC for Warhammer 2. And we will hear and see each other next week when we will be talking about the review of the DLC and the most important thing, if it's really worth it to buy it.
I will try to stay unbiased. No promises.
Yeah. We will try to make an episode right the first weekend after the DLC releases.
Yes.
Anything more to add, Luz?
I don't know. You want to promo yourself real quick before we pop out of here?
Yes, it's very hot, and I hope that temperature will get a little bit lower in Poland right now. This is my promo for today.
Uh, my promo thing would just be come check out the podcast more. This has been a whole lot of fun to do.
Yeah. So, see ya, everyone. This was Venris.
And the loose noose moose goose.